2024 has been quite a year for gaming. Some studios delivered the goods in genuinely surprising ways, and others stumbled spectacularly, leaving all of us wondering just what the hell happened. And as usual, there were games that stood out. Games that pushed boundaries, refined genres, and just straight up reminded us why we love gaming in the first place. Now, before I get to my top 10 list, let's just remind everybody here. This is my top 10 list, okay? If you don't like these games, that's on you, dude. I don't flippin' care. It's the games I like. It's the games I enjoyed, and it's the games that I felt stood out among the rest. And before we get into it, I also want to give a shout out to some honorable mentions that didn't actually make the top 10 list, but games that I think are freaking good and deserve to be freaking talked about even just a little bit, my dude, okay? And those games are number 1, Shadow of the Erdtree. Yeah, it's not a full game, but it's an incredible DLC, and if you haven't played it, you absolutely should. It takes everything from Elden Ring and just turns it up by just a tiny little notch and gives you just more greatness, more to explore, more incredible bosses, more incredible music. It just makes it feel more intense. Yeah, were some of the bosses absolutely bullshit and just beat me down over and over and made me want to honestly delete the game? Yeah, but did I power through and beat them all? Of course, because that's what it's about, dude. It's about never giving up, never quitting, and just keep on going. Amazing DLC, the best DLC that FromSoft has ever made. Incredible, loved it. But it's a DLC, and it's not a full game, so it's not in my top 10 games of the year. That's really all that what it's about. I'd also like to give a shout out to Space Marine 2. Really great co-op experience. Felt like a classic from the Xbox 360 days. It honestly felt like a brand new Gears of War game. Visually incredible, felt great to be this giant overpowered Space Marine and you're just cutting down non-stop Tyranids, you're just blasting them apart, and it was just so cool. Just a really cool shared experience on co-op, but it's not a game that really pushed any boundaries. It just brought back like a classic style of game that we don't really typically get anymore, and it was just fun, straight up fun, and that's what makes it good. Balatro, a game that took up too much of my time and more time than I care to admit. Honestly, a unique gameplay experience. We don't really see games like this that take something that you're very familiar with, like poker, and just completely flip it around and just turn it into a whole new experience. And that's what Balatro did. Really, really good. It's available on literally everything, phones, you know, I don't know, everywhere, literally everywhere. You should play it. If you just want something you can play in like literally 5-minute increments realistically, that's the game for you. Now, this one is probably going to make people a little upset because it's not on my top 10, but a lot of people probably think it should be on everybody's top 10, and that's Metaphor ReFantazio, dude. Honestly, incredible game. The story, absolutely gripping. Probably the best game that Atlus has ever made, and I mean that over every Persona. I think it takes what Persona does and just kind of fine-tunes it, makes it a little bit more linear, makes it a little bit more digestible, and takes away some of that scope of like, you know, worrying about, oh, am I wasting time, you know, cooking at the restaurant when I could be spending time with this guy and leveling up my bond or whatever. It kind of makes it so that you have time enough to do all of those things while also delivering probably the most adult and most intriguing story that Atlus has made, because finally, for the first time, you're not spending time in a freaking high school and worrying about high school problems. You're worrying about like the fate of the world, basically. And is it awesome? Yeah, it is. But is the pacing god awful sometimes? Yeah, and I think that's why for me, it doesn't make my top 10. And it's because I honestly fell off the game. There were times where I just wanted to sit down and play the game for an hour. You know, I got an hour, let me just play the game. And when you play Metaphor for an hour, you get 59 minutes of story and exposition, and you get 1 minute of game time. And for me, sometimes that just doesn't work. And because of the massive amounts of story and just non-stop reading that just interrupts your actual gameplay experience, it just, I don't know, I just couldn't, I will go back to the game because I did really like and enjoy what I played, but holy moly ravioli, my dude. Sometimes you just want to play the game. If I wanted to read, I would read a book. That's what I'm saying, all right? Let's tone it down like a smidge, just a smidge. That's all I'm asking. All right, let's get to the freaking games, dude. My top 10 list of 2024, starting with number 10, Hellblade 2. Sure, are a lot of people gonna say that game does not belong on a top 10 because it's basically a walking simulator? Yeah, and that's what it is. It's basically an interactive movie, and holy moly ravioli, does this game have the most stunning graphics you've ever seen in a game of all time. Sure, am I running it on a 4090? Am I running it at probably the best you could run it and make it look the best you can look? Yeah, I am. And that's why I think it's the most visually amazing gameplay experience I've ever had. This game looks beautiful. Is there not a lot to do in the game? Yeah, and that's probably because the purpose of the game is to be a feast for your eyes. A feast for your eyes and freaking ears. Sound design, incredible. Visuals, I can't get enough of them. Like, honestly, this game looks so damn good. I just wish that they did more with it. It seems like the story was tending to go one way. It seems like the whole experience, actually. It's like they wanted to do one thing, but because they were limited by the capabilities of the game, just because they were trying to push so much visual fidelity, that they couldn't hit what they wanted to hit with the story and with the actual experiences, so that it turned into a much more walking simulator type game. The puzzles, fine. The actual gameplay elements that you have with the combat felt really cool, but honestly, after you've done 2 of them, they're all the same. You don't fight a lot of different enemies. The puzzles are also all very similar. The story's cool. The experience is awesome. It's a short game. It's well worth playing, and god damn does it look good. Now, number 9 is going to be Stellar Blade. This is a game that I think was really actually fantastic, and it was a lot better than I thought it would be. Going into this game and looking at it first, I just thought, it seems like a game that's trying to be a FromSoft game, and those types of games just never really land with me. They always feel like a cheap knockoff, and a game that just, it doesn't capture what FromSoft does. It tries, but it's like none of the aspects and none of the things that make a FromSoft game special, they hit any of them. But Stellar Blade actually got very, very close, and it's also, I'm saying FromSoft, but it's actually less of a FromSoft game, and it's much more like Nier. This is basically Nier remade by a Korean studio and given some FromSoft elements to it. You'd think by looking at it that it's like Sekiro, but it's actually not. And the story is not good. The voice acting is horrible, but the gameplay is fun. And when you want a game to just be fun and you want a game to introduce some really cool elements and like just cool boss fights and there's cool battles and exploring the world is pretty cool, and it's just playing as Eve is cool. It's just cool. That's really what it boils down to. This is a game where when you play it, it feels cool to play, it's fun to play, and that's why for me it stands out as a game that is really good. And if you like Nier, then you'll really like this game. Now, this game came out right at the end of 2024, but for me, it stood out. And I'm talking about Indiana Jones, dude. Troy Baker did an amazing job as Harrison Ford. Like, if you want to remake the Indiana Jones movie or make a new Indiana Jones movie, and you're like, we can't cast Harrison Ford, he's 900 years old. Well, guess what? Troy Baker is going to take his freaking place because he absolutely nailed it. Perfect voice acting, perfect performance. Every character in this game delivers an amazing performance that they all did motion capture for. And this game basically takes elements of Dishonored. Imagine Dishonored, except you're Indiana Jones. That's what this game is. And yeah, sure, does this game feel and play way better in the first half of the game than the second half? Absolutely it does, and that's why it's not higher up on my list. I think the game loses a lot of steam in a lot of segments, and I think the Vatican segment is probably the best part of the game, which is like the beginning of the game. I also think the game's intro is extremely cool. If you haven't seen it, they remade Raiders of the Lost Ark in the game, and you actually get to play out that experience. Very, very cool. Indiana Jones, cool character. Troy Baker, great as Joel, great in this. Really good. I think one of the things that holds it back majorly is that the AI is just terrible. Like, there's a lot of stealth in this game. The way you play it out is heavily stealth focused, and the AI is just dumb as a freaking bag of rocks, dude. Like, dumb as hell. I turned up the difficulty on everything just to make it more of a tough experience and make it feel more real, but it just doesn't land. Like, it's dumb. They're dumb. Combat's fun. You barely shoot. The bosses are cool. The experiences are cool. There's a lot of those big, like, action-y type moments. There's a lot of puzzle solving. The puzzles are unbelievably simple. Like, especially for an Indiana Jones game, you'd think like the puzzles would be in depth and you'd have to really like wrap your mind around things to figure things out. You don't. So simple, but it's just a great experience. Do I think that this game is setting itself up to deliver a sequel that's better on every single level? Absolutely. I think that's really what this game needs more than anything else. It needs a sequel to just take it up a notch. The groundwork here is great. Like, it has an excellent framework. Let's just build on it and make it better. Now, Helldivers 2, number 7 on the list, is a game that honestly came out at a time where I was just dying for a multiplayer experience. You know how sometimes you're just playing games and you're like, okay, I'm sick of Call of Duty, I'm sick of Fortnite, give me something new to freaking sink my teeth into. And that's what Helldivers 2 did. Me and my friends had so much damn fun getting in there, Starship Trooper style, blowing shit up, shooting everything, killing everything that came our way, running mission after mission, and it was just so freaking fun, dude. They really just captured the experience of feeling like almost like a helpless soldier that's going up against an unstoppable force, and you and your buddies are just like, what do? We're throwing grenades, we're resupplying, we're shooting, we're trying to complete the mission. There's just non-stop enemies. It feels so hectic and so good. It really felt like you were fighting a war, honestly. An intergalactic war, and it was awesome. Incredible experience, actually. And then the studio just decided, like, hey, we see that everybody's having so much fun with this game. Why don't we just fuck up literally every single thing about it that makes it fun and make everybody hate the game? And then that's what they did. And people freaking hated the game, and the player numbers dropped considerably. People just stopped playing 100%. It's like they went from 400,000 active players to like 20 active players just because people just didn't want to play with their stupid changes, trying to force a meta for no reason. It's not a PvP game, it's a PvE game. Of course, now they've reversed all that, and the game's awesome again. And you should really check it out. It's on PC, it's on PS5. Exceptional multiplayer game. Now, this game at number 6 is a game that I never expected would make the list. And honestly, it's Ubisoft's best game in years, and that's Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, a game that's so good, yet played by so few people that Ubisoft canceled the sequel and axed the frickin' studio. Yeah, that's right, you're not getting a sequel to this, but you should damn well play this one. It's on sale all the time. I think it's on Ubisoft Plus or whatever, so you can play it for free on there if you sign up for a month or whatever, and then just cancel it. But man, this is an incredible Metroidvania, dude. Like, this game stands up there with Hollow Knight. This game stands up there with like all your favorites. Like, you think Metroid Fusion was good? Play this game instead. You think Dead Cells was good? Play this game instead. It is that good. The art style's great, the exploration's great, the abilities that you earn, the bosses are so fun, dude, and they're actually challenging. This is a really challenging Metroidvania when it comes down to the bosses. And also when it comes down to just kind of some of the enemies, this game is not easy. It kind of captures that same kind of Hollow Knight feel, where you really feel rewarded for going up against bosses, for going up against these tough challenges and overcoming them. You feel like you're actually accomplishing something. Really great game. Really sad that they're not making another one, because this is realistically the direction they should be taking Prince of Persia. So good, dude. Now, another game that came out right at the absolute end of the year, but holy moly, this game, really freaking good, dude, and I'm talking about Marvel Rivals at number 4. Wow, I've never had a game grab me so quickly like this since Overwatch first launched. And this game is basically a direct ripoff of Overwatch. And yeah, I've said that before in a short, and people get really mad, and they're like, if you think this is a copy of Overwatch, what are you talking about, dude? Let's be real here. It's a hero shooter, it's 6v6, half of the characters have the exact same abilities as Overwatch characters. Sure, maybe there's an extra ability here or there or whatever, but half the time, depending on the character, you're just like, this is the same character from Overwatch, except now it looks like Magneto instead of Zarya, combined with Reinhardt or whatever. Whatever, besides the point. The point is that this game is incredibly fun. I don't know why it's so much more fun than Overwatch. It's hard to kind of put it into words, but it just is. The character design is incredible. It's like they really respect the actual character design, and they're putting their own kind of flair on it. The skins look great. Every character is fun to play. Even when you're playing as a healer, it's fun to play. They all have capabilities of doing damage and actually feeling like you're taking part of the match rather than just like playing at the back and playing support. You're really getting in there and contributing. It's so fun, dude. No matter what role you play. 33 or something heroes, and they're constantly adding more. 2 more coming out anytime now. This is how Overwatch 2 should have been. Like, it's the true sequel to Overwatch. And somehow Blizzard screwed that up, so now NetEase just swooped in and said, here's characters that you know and love from Marvel movies. Now you get to play as them. 6v6, great experience. Wow, really good. Really, really good, actually. Would never have expected that this game would be on my top 10, but it's taken up all my time, and I absolutely adore it, honestly. I got nothing bad to say. The only bad thing I have to say, actually, I don't think the rank system is very good. I think they should have done like you play 5, it bases you off of that, it puts you at a point, and then you go from there. Right now it feels very grindy, which I mean is fine because I'm having fun playing it, but don't really love that grindy aspect. Also, you know, feels like Fortnite ranked in that way, where it feels like you're just playing over and over, and it's not really basing off your skill, it's just basing on like whether you win or lose kind of thing. Fine, but whatever. Great game. Excited to play more. At number 3, a game also from China called Black Myth Wukong. What a freaking experience, my dude. Probably, potentially, maybe the greatest Souls-like game ever made that isn't made by FromSoft. So damn good, dude. Right up there with Liza P as being just this game that you didn't expect would actually pull it off. But holy moly, my man, this game might as well be made by FromSoft. And yeah, also, again, another game that I said is a Souls-like. I made a video about it, and people are like, this is not a Souls-like. It's more like God of War. Yeah, it's incredibly inspired by God of War, but it's also incredibly inspired by FromSoft. And if you don't realize that, I don't know what to tell you, my man, because you gotta look at the game again, because it's just what it is. It is absolutely FromSoft inspired. It feels like a Souls-like. You fight tons of bosses, big bosses. The mechanics are similar. There's shrines. Yeah, this game has more RPG elements and it has more story. The combat against regular enemies does feel more like God of War combat, But it's a Souls-like, dude, whether you like it or not. Visually, a feast for your eyes. The boss design is incredible. Enemy design incredible. Tons and tons of bosses and enemies. Sure, does the combat kind of get stale a little bit because you're always doing the same thing? Yeah, but the bosses bring new techniques and, new ways of fighting them. So of course you have to learn those things and learn how to counteract those things so it keeps it fresh. But I feel like the game also overstayed its welcome slightly. It could have been slightly less long, but it's great. But this game, just like Indiana Jones and kind of just like Stellar Blade as well, is one of those games that will benefit greatly from a sequel, because they've set up the framework of like boom, 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 incredible, incredible, incredible. So now what can we do next? What can we do to push it to the freaking limit, dude? And that's what this game needs. And it's so good, and I can't wait for the sequel. I can't wait for the DLC. I can't wait for more, to go back to that world and experience what else they have to offer. At number 2, almost at the freaking tippy top of the list, is the only game I have ever got a platinum trophy in, and I'm talking about Astro Bot. The biggest competitor to Mario to ever exist. Sure, does it not hit the highs of Mario? Absolutely. But it makes up for it by giving you a game that is so absolutely fun, so joyful to play. Everything about it feels like a nostalgic blast from the past. It's so damn good, and it delivers itself in such a nice, like, wrapped up, easy package that isn't bloated by anything. The game just funnels you through it. You have an amazing time finding all the other bots. You experience these worlds that bring on PlayStation icons. It feels so damn good. Yeah, does it not have the movement of Mario? Of course. Does it not have the intricate level design of Mario? Of course. But man, does it do what it does, what it's setting out to do perfectly? Absolutely. This is like, they're not trying to make the greatest platformer ever. They're trying to make an accessible platformer that's fun and that also is like a love letter to PlayStation fans by giving you all these cool PlayStation characters, giving you these PlayStation worlds, and just making you feel like you're playing a game dedicated to PlayStation. And it nails that. It's so damn fun. And that's why I platinumed it. I don't really care about platinums. I don't really care about trophies. But for this game, I was like, you know what? I'll go for it. And it didn't even take that. I think I platinumed the game in like 12 hours, which is like crazy. I beat everything, unlocked everything in like 12 hours. Not a long game, but just so fun, and I didn't want to put it down. And that's one of the things that makes it so great. You're just listening to those music, Astro Bot, Astro Bot, and then the Uncharted music in the Uncharted world, it's just so good. It felt so good to play. Why isn't it my number 1? Because I think one of the greatest survival horror games released this year, and that's Silent Hill 2. Who would have ever thought that Bloober Team could deliver a game of this high quality? Nobody. Bloober Team? You're saying Bloober's making Silent Hill 2? It's gonna be a disaster. No, they proved everybody wrong by delivering not only one of the greatest looking games ever, because my God, does it look amazing, but it's so damn tense and like dreadful. This game introduced like a feeling of dread that I've never experienced before in a game. Listen, when I play horror games, I'm incredibly tense. I'm incredibly scared. This game literally was like, sometimes I could only play for 30 minutes and it's like I needed to just chill out for like 10 minutes and just breathe, because it just like bears down on you. Being in Silent Hill, looking like this, hearing those sounds with the fog, with the darkness. This game was darker than any game I've ever played. When you go into the jail and it's pitch black, dude, and you just hear sounds around you, you feel like, it just feels like pressure on you. You just feel like, oh my God, like beating you down emotionally to play this game. Just being like, I gotta get out of this place. I gotta get out of Silent Hill. And all James Sunderland wants to do is find his freaking wife, dude. Is she there? Is she not there? You gotta play the game and experience yourself. Pyramid Head. The characters are so cool and lifelike. What a game, man. Probably, honestly, could be the best survival horror game ever made. Right up there with freaking Resident Evil 2, right up there with Resident Evil 4, right up there with Resident Evil 7 and 8. Like, my God, what an experience, man. I loved every single second of it. So good. I highly, highly recommend it, even if you don't like survival horror games. It's so good. Sure, is there a lot of backtracking that I think could have been removed? Yeah. There is a lot of that. There are segments of the game that feel a little bit overly long. And I think if they took those away, it would have been perfect. Perfect. It's those few things that they could change. And you know what? For it only being those few things from Bloober, that's the problem, amazing. What an experience. I can't wait to see what's next from Bloober. What a damn good year for games. And it looks like 2025 is going to be even better. GTA 6, everything coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Holy moly ravioli, dude. This year's gonna be nuts. Death Stranding 2. I can't wait.